Level Up Latina partners with working women and mamas alike to guide them in achieving fulfilling career and life goals through financial empowerment, professional or leadership coaching, and personal wellness. Find the unique coaching you need to succeed.
You're listening to Vero, Ceci, and Irene, and we are Level Up Latina.
Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Latina podcast. This is episode 184, and thank you to the sun and the rays that kind of shined upon Cecilia in San Francisco. We are able to record today. Today's episode is going to focus around self-care, the topic of friendships and having friends, and really that being our relationships that we should nurture a little more. And this came from a post that I shared with Ceci, Irene, and our Guilt-Free Squad members yesterday. It was an article by the Washington Post, I believe. It talks about the difference of romantic relationships and friendships and how sometimes we're easy to just put aside our friends when we find that one person we love and put them as a second to none in a sense. Like make sure that we put them in the pedestal and everyone else has to wait for our time and attention, and how that affects us. So you tend to be healthier when you hang out with your friends. So we're going to have a little bit of the conversation there. But before we do that, let's check in with my beautiful amigasas and co-hosts, Ceci and Irene. ¿Cómo están?
Como dijiste, de milagro aquí, that we finally made it work. Aquí se fue la luz about an hour and a half ago, right before we were supposed to record. Y por más intentos que hice to connect on my phone, nomás no se pudo. Y ahorita que regresó, I'm like, okay, it's back on. Let's do this. So aquí estamos, committed to you guys, and yeah, just happy to be here.
Yeah, I was already on to the next thing. I was telling the girls that I was like PTA mode, listening to children sing for a different event. I'm glad y'all got a hold of me and distracted me somehow so we could do this. Talk about friendships. Yay!
Yeah, I think it's important. See, it's important. We distracted you for a good reason, to keep talking about how we're going to share this with our audience, that es importante to have friendships and have that balance. So, Ceci, I know you mentioned that like you really appreciate the article. What about it stuck out for you en lo que leíste ayer?
I think just the fact that we need to nurture and we need to spend time with our friends, and it went directly to what I was alluding to early in the week. We were talking about like our retreat and like business, and then I'm like, well, we do need también some friend time, because I know sometimes with us three, se revuelven las cosas, and I know it's hard, I'm like, but we need to really, really focus on our friend time and then put business aside. And it's a challenge, but I think it's needed. I think it's needed to spend time to be together, porque no es lo mismo estar aquí grabando las tres en virtually que estar en persona, donde nos podemos ver, nos podemos tocar, abrazar, those that type of thing. Also because I don't do like friends night often, but when I do, just me siento super, like, I just feel so good, and I just feel motivated and to do things like all around, not just, work stuff, social stuff, but I just feel good. Last month I hung out with friends from my prior law firm that some of them I hadn't seen in a while, probably pre-COVID. And it was a great time. And it's just, I don't know, se necesita just to, como dices tú y como decía el article, just like we make time for a romantic relationship, we also need to make time for our friends, nuestras amigas, people that know us, people that we can just be ourselves with and relax and just pick up where we leave off. Last time, I know for us, last time we got together as friends was with our college friends, y ya va a ser 2 años, rapidito se pasa el tiempo. And that was the summer that we went to Palm Springs, and it was a great time. And I know it felt good to be together again and reminisce and just focus and dedicate that whole weekend to being together, being with friends, and just having a good time, sin preocupación de trabajo, sin preocupación de, our significant others and our kids. It just, so with that in mind, that's, when you posted that, I was like, yes, I'm like, we need it. I'm like, we need to make an effort to make it happen this year. Si no se puede todas, pues aunque sea nomás un cachito de nosotras.
¿Y tú, Irene? ¿Qué opinas? What came from?
Great. It reminded me of like dating my husband, and we were definitely that couple that was like completely into each other and like let everything else go, which I think was really perfect for that time in my life, because it was like the end of college. I felt like one chapter was ending and the other one was beginning. He, as we were kind of developing in our marriage, he kind of started to feel like, I don't got no friends. It's just my siblings. I only hang out with my siblings. Like, thank God that you like social things and you like to bring people together and you like to have like parties and travel. And because if it wasn't for you, look, I don't know that I'd have like anybody that I consider his friends. Like, his friends ended up by default being like my friend's husbands, or my neighbor that I'm close to, her husband, or I'm over here trying to always connect him to people that golf now because he is trying to make a better effort of maintaining relationships. He now realizes that this is probably just a factor of him having ADHD. It's like now or not now. Like, what's in front of him? His wife and his kids. So he's so focused on like his wife and his kids. So he has to make an effort to have relationships outside of that. And we've had that conversation a lot. And so him having a remote job that allows him to go to the office just like I do is a really great place where we naturally have grown friendships. We were just talking about that, and this article kind of spurred that. Today he gets to go to his office for like a monthly staff meeting, and he looks forward to that. It's an outlet. It's different people. It's being invited to social things with those people. Work is interesting. I made a note that like work friends is interesting because it's just like we talked about. Business friends is very, very interesting and dynamic and complex. But I think that at work, when you can strike up a balance between the people you work with being like the people you work with, but also having someone there that you feel is more than just a coworker, I think that's really special. I think it does help your mental health. So in looking at this article, Beto, it reminded me like all the years I've been at my organization now, there's always been iterations of it, whether they liked it or not, that I found people, even when I was their boss, that I tried to not show favorites, but really behind the scenes, I was closer to them. I felt connection to them for whatever reason. And I was just talking to the person that I feel very comfortable with at work yesterday about something. And we always like to have like our quick minutes of random gossip, quick minutes of guess what's going on with me. But we're not always like that on purpose because we know it's a culture, it's an environment, it's a workplace. But when we get together, it is hysterical and it is hilarious. Like yesterday, she's like, I finished my to-do list. Did you finish yours? I'm like, yeah, girl, it's past 5. Let's chat. She's in my office. We're having like a whole thing. And then we always crack each other up and it always feels good. And we have our inside jokes. We send ourselves stuff all the time on social media. Literally in this conversation, she was sending me something that was like, girl, if only I could manifest. And it was a meme that says 4-bedroom house, 3-bath for $10. Because me and her are always talking about it. We buying that house this year. So just those things, but we're coworkers. I'm her boss, but there's this beautiful mental health fix to being close. And yesterday I was telling her, like, thank you for being my event partner. She's like, of course, absolutely. It's always good to have someone outside of the bubble, outside of our regular friends, our regular family, our regular routine. We go to the office and we have each other. And it has helped our mental health, I think, to have each other. Before that, there were like 4 of us that worked together that we were crazy. We would travel together and work together. It did help. I felt my spirit, my energy, like, you want to like where you work. And part of it is trying to find a striking balance between working with people you like, having good working relationships, being able to hold people accountable, and maybe having 1 or 2 of them that feel like a friend. It is an art. It is not easy. It is hard. I've also messed that up, by the way. But it does make me better when I can find that balance, I think.
Yeah, the balance is essential. What the key thing here is that we spend so much time at work. So work is going to be the place where either you make friends or you find your boo. Okay, so and that it's just because that's where you spend the most time, proximity, all this stuff. So, you'll likely meet people that think like you because they're doing the kind of work that you do. So all these similarities. But I feel that when it comes to friendships, I've been that girl. I've been the girl that's dated, I've broken up, and then I'm like, where are my friends? I need them. Ayúdenme. Oye, quiero chillar. Quiero comerme un big old tub of ice cream. And can someone just hold my hair? Or something, like spend some time with me. And I have been that girl that I feel like ¿quién soy to be calling my friends now? I have been that person because I've given, so much time and dedicated so much of my time to work and then my partner. Instead of saying like, hey, I need that balance as well. My friends, need to be a part of this. I remember like that feeling, that was kind of awkward feeling. Remember, Irene, when you had that birthday party and I had just recently broken up with my fiance, and then I had this new boo that I brought along, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? But then I was like,
and my husband will tell you what he's thinking. He asked you in the corner.
Girl, he put his head out one of the smallest little yacht windows and was like, yo, who's that?
Diego loves to make awkward jokes.
Diego,
I love it. You can take him.
The yacht birthday, yeah.
And she's all asking for the dude that she was living in a house with that she bought out. And it's typical Diego to be like, where my boy so-and-so at? Where my boy so-and-so at?
Diego, why are you putting me out there like that? But I appreciate that from Diego. Like, I've always, I love the fact that even when you said right now, Diego, you guys have been so, you know, you guys have been together for such a long time that even though the friendship was primarily with you, he's allowed himself to be part of the friends, you know, and not only as like, oh, yo soy el esposo de tal, and this is my opinion. He really has generally cared about like everything that's been going on with our lives. So he's he's a bonus friend, not just a bonus friend. He's a friend of ours también. It was so cute. He sent me the cutest little birthday message too through the DMs, not like in the like Instagram. Vero, felicidades. Like I was like, oh, Diego didn't have to. That was so sweet, you know.
He did.
Yeah. So ahí le das un abrazo de mi parte. Gracias. And I owe him a Bacardi bottle. Every time I would go see you guys, I would take a ginormous Bacardi bottle.
Everybody says that. Everybody always says, I gotta get Bacardi.
He's got to get a new drink, though. We're going to have to do some whiskey or something.
Oh, man.
But I think that it really is important. I think that our friends also like are going to be very different. The friends that we have at work kind of cater to that work persona that we are. And they, you know, they're like, you're such a badass and this. And they're going to be the ones that cheer you on to grow and level up professionally. And they're like, yeah, we're doing things. We're getting it done. And then your friends outside of work, I know that I had like a very distinct group of friends. I have like, you know, I had my hiking and running friends. I had my friends that I, you know, will go travel with. I have, you know, my group of friends that I love just doing really nice dinners and expensive stuff with. And I have my friends that I go banda dancing with that are still my friends in other parts. But it's just like each of your friends contributes to a different part of your personality and your character.
Different faces.
And different phases of you.
Of your life.
You know, and it's so beautiful because it keeps you connected to who you were and the person you're becoming. You're growing, right? Each time, every day we're growing a little more, we're learning a little more, and we're learning from our mistakes and the fuck ups and the fuck it moments and all these things. And our friends remind us like, hey, no seas tonta. Like, remember the last time you did this? This happened. And I think it's so crucial that we allow them into our lives like that when we are married or even, you know, dating. So that when you have those moments of like despair that you need your friends, you don't feel awkward reaching out to them. Or when you feel those moments of stuck, like, ay, saben que ya ni sé qué hacer. I don't even know where I'm at. I don't even know what I'm doing professionally. I don't know what I'm doing in life. Like, they're the ones going to say, mira tonta, o mira cabroncita, mira fea, o mira chingona. Esto, you know, like, this is who you are. And you're going to, you know, you thrive and you're resilient and you're this. Like, it's beautiful to have those people. Like, I think one of those hardest moments was like my second breakup, right? Dude cheats on me and I'm just like torn and broken up. But the thing is that when I was dating this person, my second boyfriend after my first boyfriend after my fiance, and I was, you know, I was like, this is the guy for me. And there were things that I just didn't see, or I chose maybe not to see, right? Like, no somos tontas, pero a la misma vez we're like, but once your intuition kind of kicks in, you're like, oh, my gut wasn't feeling it. And I started opening up after the breakup with Evelyn, you know, with our friend. We would go on runs and we would just talk about stuff. And I was telling her these things like, I can't believe the breakup and I can't believe this. And I started sharing like some other conversations that sometimes we're embarrassed to share. Like, you know, when we're dating, like, ay, no le voy a contar esta partecita because a lo mejor it sounds weird to them. And I was sharing this conversation with her and she's like, wait, what? And I was like, oh my God, now that I said it, it sounds really dumb. Like, how was I okay with that? And she's like, Vero, yeah, like, what were you thinking? And the thing is that we should feel so comfortable and confident that we should not hide those little parts of the conversations, because our friends can actually like bring in a different perspective and align us back to where like, but that doesn't agree with who you are. That doesn't align with who you are and what your purpose is. Like, why are you allowing this person to take you away from where you're meant to be? So in that sense, I think that's why it's so important to have those relationships and that balance between your romantic relationship and your friendships, like cuidarlos, you know, y aunque a veces sea difícil, be like, despiértate, you know, amiga, like, no es por nada, pero a lo mejor, you know, agarra la onda. Have you guys had that kind of moment with any of your friends that you had to like be, mira?
I don't know about snapping them out of something, but reminding them that I'm like here. Like, we don't have to talk all the time and be together. And that's actually what's going to be my tip of the day. Like, you can bring back friendships that maybe you've been absent at, or thank God for social media. Like, you can connect with people if you're not close, to then get back to the time to be there for them. I can think of a friend that I'm very close to that we hadn't been very close because, you know, life took us where it took us, but we lived in the same city, and then she tragically lost her brother. And I remember feeling like, I don't know what people think, like, I'm going to be there for this person. And I wanted to babysit her kid, and I brought her kids some toys, and I showed up at the funeral, and I was super, super there for her at a time where I felt like it makes sense because yo vivo aquí. Like, she needs all her friends, sure, but they're going to go away. So I would like bring dishes to the family. The mom lived even closer to me in Redondo. And we have been so close since that moment in time where this tragic thing happened to her. And I just opened the door again to a relationship. It was just the friend that I was to her in high school. We didn't have a reason for not being close. And now we're like even closer to each other as neighbors. We have birthdays together. We were just talking the other day. She's my comadre now. Like, so opening that door up. And for her, it wasn't like a snap out of it, but it was a time where she was in deep, deep despair and sad, and it was tragic and it was hard. And it's a time when I think people didn't want to be there for her. I think people didn't know how to be there for her.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who hadn't even been in her life, but I thought, I'm just going to be the friend that I was in high school, obviously 10, 15 years removed. And it was beautiful. And I have another friend, funny enough, that I had the same exact experience with, that we've always been close through the years. We just don't see each other a lot. And I always check in with her. I always randomly invite her. And what I always do with people is, my thing is travel. So I'll randomly invite them to travel, and it's a way to like bring someone back into your life. And this particular friend I did, and she went to Greece with me, and it was incredible. We had a great time. And yeah, we are still close. We're in fact kind of like neighbors, and we talk, but people don't to see it on the outside. And then this friend tragically fell ill a year later, and we were planning a trip. She and I were planning this really fun trip, and it didn't work out because it was planning with another girl also from high school that we hadn't seen in a while, and agendas just didn't work. And I was thinking, God, we weren't on a trip, because she fell so ill that she was on death's door, like super, super sick. And I've checked in with her since. She's been okay. I've brought her groceries, taken her to places, invited her for a holiday. Like, we don't have to stay close, but I think you should be there for people at those random times when let's travel together. So that when you're there for those hard times, it's like, you're really a friend and you're really there for me. And we don't have to be like super close. Like, you're still there for me. Like the other day we went to a concert with Summer from college. We all love Summer. And I invited her, and I'm like, we have to see this together because you like this artist and I like this artist. And I don't know when the last time was that I see Summer, right? I talked to her and I invited her a while ago, and this concert finally came up, and she goes and invites another friend from Berkeley who she loves this artist. And then Vero was going to come, and then Vero couldn't come, so then she got taken for another hermana from her. So before I knew it, we're at this concert and representing all three of the schools: UCLA, Berkeley, UC Santa Barbara. All three of the schools have
OG3,
history.
baby.
All those hermanas, yeah. We are like history. We are the hermanas of all the hermanas. And so we're listening to Julieta Venegas, Oleada song. We're hugging each other. We're loving on each other. We had such a great time. Now, these are women that, one of them, Berkeley girl, I didn't even know her, but we were acting like we were homies. Like, she was already like, you got global entry? Come. We going to TJ together. Yeah, it's like just a good old time. And it's like, because someone like Summer, who is always a good friend, that you can go, I'm going to go with her. I'm going to hang out with her. And then she's going to bring the other two randos, and you're going to have a great time. Like, the tip of the day is no pressure. Like, it can be one moment. It can be one time. It can be one conversation. But like, insert yourself with your friends. Invite them to that concert. Really be there if something tragic happens for them. Invite them to go on that vacation with you. You don't have someone to go with? Invite that one person that you're gelling with online that you knew from that one job. Like, I think it takes that wanting to be intentional with people, that then you look up and you look back and you're like, man, I really do like people and they like me too. You know, it doesn't look like that perfect. Like, no marriage is perfect. No friendship is perfect. It doesn't mean you talk to people every day. It doesn't mean that you're always turning to each other. You can have friendships that are like years in the making, and only people know like how you've connected and how you've supported each other. And again, when I think of travel, like, I went to Cuba with a random friend I used to work with. I went to Greece with a random girl from high school. Like, I will travel. I went to Europe with 3 coworkers that were like all really close still, somewhat. You know, we've done really fun things, but I can think of different phases, as you guys said, like in my life where like I never would have thought that would have happened. Like, I never. And then also the other thing we're going to talk about today, but then when your family becomes your friends, like, I've always been close to my nieces and nephews because they're my age. But recently I just traveled with a niece from one brother, a niece from a sister, and a nephew from another brother. So it's like 3 different families went on this trip, and Diego. And it's kind of awesome when like family transcends being family, and they're like your friends because you're the same age. Like primas, I can see you feeling that. Ceci, like, your primas are your friends too, and they fix your mental health for sure. With my family, we get together, we talk about our joint traumas, y'all. We get each other.
No, yo te
That's a
entiendo,
different kind of
güey.
friend.
Yeah.
Otro traguito porque
Yes.
sí
But
te
you need it.
entiendo.
We need
Yeah,
it.
you need it.
Yeah,
está como cuando yo les digo a ustedes, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be driving for the next 45 minutes. ¿Quién está disponible? Porque les voy a hablar. You know, like, that helps me. Like, when I have my conversations and on the phone, because it's different cuando nos estamos mandando mensajitos que when you're actually talking live to the person. Like, estamos acostumbrados a mandar mensajitos and text messages, but no one really picks up the phone anymore. Like we don't, right? And so por eso I'm like, I know, Vero and Irene, they're busy. I'm like, so I give them a heads up when I'm leaving my parents' house or I'm leaving my house, like, hey, I'm going to be driving for the next 45 minutes. ¿Quién está disponible? Like, I'm going to, si les hablo, contesten si están disponibles. Si no, like, know that I'm going to be on the road for the next 45 minutes because that's my time to reconnect. Like, ¿cómo andas? Okay, let me tell you qué está pasando. And I think making that time to reconnect and make a phone call. Te digo, like, not people are not used to phone calls anymore, and it's nice.
Or even send an audio message. Yeah. I have found that when I have felt people kind of distant or kind of cold or kind of, I for show send an audio. Yeah. It shows that energy. It shows that love. It shows that I stop what I'm doing to tell you what's up. And so my friend that I was telling you is my neighbor, comadre, she just had a birthday and it was a quick text for me and it's a quick text for my daughter because it's su Nina. But then like 2 days later, I followed up with, tell me, how was the birthday? How are you? ¿Cómo estás? What's going on? I saw the cake on social media. And then I just felt, boom, like tons of audio messages back about this, about that, about this, about that. Like she needed that extra, like, ¿Cómo estás? She's like, it's been nonstop crazy. And like downloaded after her birthday about her life. But it took that extra, like you said, Ceci, like a text ain't going to do it sometimes. And a call may not make sense, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave her a nice little long audio. I'm really interested, like what is going on? But she seems busy, right? So let me see. And for sure, now we're making plans to get together. But it's that extra touch that I think is beautiful.
So I think it's important to note that everyone that's listening to is that just making a moment, taking a little moment, you're like, oh, es que estoy muy ocupada. Even yourself, right? Like, I'm just too busy. Not that your friends are busy. I'm just too busy. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. You do have time between one building and the other when you're walking around, or you have from walking from your car to the grocery store and your 3 chiquillos are crying and like, dame esto. Or you're single and you're like, I'm busy dating too many people and I can't, focus on calling one friend. You have a moment. I think también one thing I've learned in my friendships is that there's sometimes people that appear that have so many friends and you're like, oh, pues, they're probably going through a difficult time. They have someone. I'll just send a message and, I'm going to leave them because they're going through a difficult time. And assuming that someone else is kind of like filling in that gap, I learned my lesson with one of my dear friends and I apologized for later. But I assumed that, there was someone like there for her while she was going through, like she fractured her wrist and it was like this whole thing. And it was really a really challenging time for her. But I was under the assumption like she's okay. She has this person that she's really close to. She has this person. And I just assumed that friend wise, she was okay. So I would check in, sporadically and be like, hey, just want to see how you were doing. But that wasn't enough. And she told me that. And I feel that don't assume that someone else is taking taking the time to check in on this friend. And because that person might just be needing your light, might be needing your words of encouragement. They might be saying like, the way Vero makes me feel is so different than the way, Irene makes me feel and the way that Ceci makes me feel. And she hasn't reached out and I'm really hurt. So don't expect other people to check in on your friends or check in on someone when they're going through a hard time, or even to like, cuando les vas a echar porras, like Irene just said, like, hey, like I want to just be like, yo, girl, what's up? Because no one is you. Not everyone is you. You're your own person. You have your own ways of making someone else feel a certain kind of way. So don't allow yourself to just I'll leave it up to somebody else and I'll just do a quick little message. So anímate and reach out to your friends, sea a voice message, sea, a quick call, sea un quick little text with a follow-up like, hey, let's schedule a quick call. And a quick call, I was reading this other article that said like how quick calls can really change the trajectory of a relationship. And this is a friendship. It can be your husband. Like right now, my husband's traveling a lot. So we see each other, for bits and pieces on the weekends. Like we're together on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, but there's so much to catch up on, right? Like he's spending time with the kids and there's time like the whole week we've been away from each other and he's exhausted and I'm exhausted because I'm, taking care of everything else that's home related. And then he's doing, he's traveling. So we have this like tugging because it's like, well, I have these things to catch up on because you've been away and you've been away. But it's so essential, like right now that he's traveling, like hit him up. Like he just sent me a message like, hey, I just want to check in with you. Like, how's it going? I love you. I hope you're having a good day. Catch me up on whatever's happening. And he goes, please plug back in the camera in the house. I can't creep up on you guys because we have a little camera for the kids. I told you guys that sometimes they golpean and we don't know what happened. And one of them pushed the other and we just want to be able to have a conversation.
You see the video.
So he's like, someone unplugged the camera and I can't creep on you guys anymore. And I was like, don't worry, detective. I'll make sure to check on that. But like, even that, it's my husband, but like, imagine how impactful it is with your friends, that these are people that knew you before you had kids, that knew you before you got married, and are there for you as you're changing and growing. So it's important to make sure that you reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, even the other day, estamos celebrando el cumpleaños de tuyo, Vero, y de Nadia. We were messaging with our college friend group también. Like, it's like the little one-liners that we all get what they mean, like... It was like, casi que 20 años that, someone said this random line or this random occurrence at the club or whatever, pero todas nos acordamos, like we were just like spitting them out in that chat. And I don't know, it's just that connection that que siempre vamos a tener, nunca se nos va a perder. And it just brings us back to that moment, like you said, to who we were back then and, partying it up in college. Y ahora somos unas señoras con hijos y todo, pero yeah, just having that.
I was going to say that a text message group, I like that we have it. I think that's really helpful. It helps us stay connected. I have something similar with my line sisters in my sorority. And these are friendships that are just like the one from college, like years removed, like so many years removed. But it's a good place to stay connected, to talk about any random thing that we see. Like with social media, I think it's a tool. Like we should all be using it for good. And social media can make you feel bad. And social media can just share bad news. Like it does connect us to people that I would have lost all those friendships. I think I wouldn't talk to a lot of people had it not been for social media. So use that as a tool to reconnect with people. Maybe it's a DM group that you have of certain people. Maybe it's just a club or ex-coworkers. Like you be the one to start that. Like Vettel said it. Like don't assume someone else is cultivating the relationship. Like be the one.
If anything reminded you today, like if there's those friendships that you have from a long, long time ago that keep you tied to a special bond, something special, like Irene just said, like her sorority sisters, like and with our hermanas, like we have like these things that we just connect. Like we have friends since high school that we reconnect with. Some of them we never lost touch, and some of them we had to reconnect for one reason. Not had to, but we wanted to reconnect. It's never too late. Reach out to the people you love. Tus amigas, tus hermanitas, tus comadritas, like lo que sea, si son tus primas. Thank you again, everyone.
This reminded you of like that one friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Mándale un mensajito, como dice Irene, and like even if it's just a little audio message, hey, I'm thinking of you. I was listening to the Level Up Latina podcast, and they were talking about friends and making time to spend with your friends so that you can be healthier, right? Be healthier. So, mándales ese mensajito. Anything that you want to add?
I did want to say that I think another really great tool is the Guilt-Free Squad. So I just had a client that was so excited to sign up for coaching, but she was really excited about the Guilt-Free Squad that we do group coaching in. So the group coaching is critical because that's going to really help you feel like you have a community. If you're feeling like you don't have friends, Guilt-Free Squad is perfect. We meet once a month. We're meeting tomorrow. We have a group chat. It's literally filling all these needs, these friendship needs. And these girls are getting very close and cheering each other on and learning from each other. Like you can find a group if you feel like you don't have one in some other way that's already formed, especially as adults. It's so hard to make new friends. We talk about our college friends all the time. We talk about those connections, our neighbor, our coworker. If someone's listening to this and feels like, I don't even know where to start, I don't have any of those people, I'm not very social, something like the Guilt-Free Squad, a group community that comes together, is so critically important to get that need met for your own mental health. Especially if you can't afford coaching or therapy, you need an outlet, you need a place to vent, to be celebrated, to share your struggles, to share your happiness, and something like that I think is key. So check out the Guilt-Free Squad at leveluplatina.com. Check us out on social media at Level Up Latina is our handle on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email if you have questions about this or anything else. Our email is admin@leveluplatina.com. Share this episode on Twitter at Latina_up on Twitter. So thank you so much. Las queremos un chingo. Thanks for this rapid fire, all over the place, really awesome friends episode of the Level Up Latina podcast.
Las queremos. Se cuidan.
Bye.
Queremos. Ciao.
Ciao. Well done, mujeres.